at the Waffle House. Bring me a small stack of blueberry pancakes. I'm showing my hole at the Waffle House. Bacon, eggs, with apple cheese. I'm showing hole at the Waffle House.
Gentlemen, we are here with Porcelain Vivisection from New York, from Brooklyn, y'all. And this is the Chug Life podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a stellar time ahead of us with some freaky frogs from New York. Where are they, frogs? I don't know. Guys, introduce yourselves.
We don't really know either. My name's Nick. I'm the guitarist. I live in Astoria, Queens, kind of near Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm Neil Ghosh. I do vocals and saxophone, and I'm here in Brooklyn.
I'm Asher Herzog. I'm the drummer, also here in Brooklyn.
Fantastic. Now, you guys would have just heard a very little snippet of a song, and it's a very short time to catch your imagination and make it go wild. So I do want to encourage all of you guys to go and check these folks out. It is some of the most unique sounding music you'll find to date. And I highly encourage you guys to go check out Lobotomy Bliss. That is some of their most recent work. It's fantastic stuff. And we need to talk about this saxophone. Because good God, it's so Neil, what is this, childhood stuff that you're bringing, I'm assuming, or is this recent learning?
Childhood trauma? No, it's I started saxophone when I was 12, and I went to jazz school for my undergrad and dropped out, and then didn't really play, and then over a pandemic got back into it and applied to this graduate program at the new school, which is where I met these two guys, and just kind of like wanting to get away from like kind of the modern jazz sound and more of like just like kind of vocal fry, screamy shit, a lot of multi-harmonic stuff. And that's what we got.
That was almost one of the most immediate realizations I had, is that there was like a darker tone. There was a more, in my section, of like metal tone to it that I almost felt. It was difficult to just put my finger on it, but everything about it felt so much more heavier than what I'm used to from quote unquote improv groups or even sludge groups that I'm pretty familiar with. And where did you guys get this sound? Is this coming from the background that you guys have from improv and jazz? Is that where I'm getting a lot of these tastes from? But I also understand that Asher has some background with heavier music. Is that the influences you're getting there too?
So my sort of like big loves growing up musically were like grindcore and free jazz. Like once I heard free jazz, like I was like, oh, this is it. And then I kind of got into other stuff from that, but I think we're all improvisers sort of, and that's how this group sort of came together, was like we just got together and played. And then we sort of like, the sound sort of developed organically. But along with that too, it was just like, Neil is not just a saxophone player, he's like a comedian, and he does like live looping electronics and comedy. Well, I feel like we played a few times, and we did a few gigs, just playing our music, other people's music. We were just sort of like, okay, well, like we have this big thing on the table that we're not utilizing, this comedy thing. And in a weird way, our sound kind of came from that to me, because it was this idea of like, okay, when we have that mask on and there's sort of like a funny thing happening too, you can get away with playing whatever the fuck you want.
Oh yeah.
Because you're inviting people in versus pushing them out, where it's like you go to a heavy jazz thing, maybe no one's there and people feel weird about it, like they feel like they're not connected. It's like you do what we're doing, which is sort of like heavier free jazz adjacent stuff. You sort of like wink and nod, like, hey, like this is for you. Like we're not okay. Yeah, Neil wants to jump in.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I think that was kind of a big thing for us early on. Was like, how do we make music that is interesting and complex if you know, but if you don't know, something that's really accessible and frankly stupid. And like, I think that's actually where a lot of the power in this group comes from. It's like if you're really like Mike, it sounds like you have very kind of like experienced ears, like where you're hearing different parts of the sound, like you
Oh
can
man.
appreciate it.
I
But also,
the intricacies of what you're doing were really like specifically Asher. Like it immediately threw me off, but then I was like, wait a minute, this guy knows what he's fucking doing. This is oh fuck, dude, this is hitting every itch. And that specific reel that I was seeing of you guys had kind of like a stutter beat coming from the toms and the snare, and it was just very interesting how that was followed up by the saxophone. And I was like, oh my god, dude, that is just perfect timing. I was sold. I was like, these guys are fucking pros. God damn. So this improv element really is like the thing carrying Porcelain Vivisection, right? Like just having the ability to just grab kind of like a jam session and then go, okay, well, this is really great, but what if we do this a billion times different?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's starting to get to the point where like I've never actually written anything down for this group. The way we practice, honestly, we meet up usually like once a week or every 2 weeks. We usually set a timer for 30 minutes and just do kind of like endurance runs and
Oh
try
my
to play
God.
like as intensely as we can for 30 or even sometimes 40 minutes. But we've all been playing together enough in this band and like different contexts as well, where like, especially like me and Asher, we have a couple other small groups that we do where I think we have these like different kind of textures or like grooves or just sort of like rhythmic ideas that we know how to like lock into. So it's sort of like most naturally becomes more compositional, where like we have like 4 or 5, 6 different things where like once we start to hear the other person playing that, we can either be like, oh, we're in that shit now, or do the opposite, be like, okay, he's going to that. I'm gonna like fuck with him a little bit and like do the exact most annoying thing I can possibly do. That's the music.
And I would say too, just with that improvisation thing, nice thing is, and I feel like this used to be more like in the 60s and 70s, like these bands would play together all the time. It was the same band, and when you listen to those improv groups, like those, like especially like I'm gonna forget some, but
like Milford Graves.
Bobby, yeah, Milford Graves, like Bobby, that album specifically, like him and Arthur Doyle when they play together just have this like insane chemistry, and so that's what I try to think about. And so the nice thing about playing with both of these people is we've done this enough time that there's sort of this idea of total trust, even with like skits or like, okay, like we want to try doing this on stage, even if it's like the comedy element. It's really, you would have to suggest something really wild to get a no in this group, to be like, no, like we're not going to do that.
Have we gotten any no's?
I think we've gotten
Are there ideas
practicality.
that we've
based-
rejected?
All right,
I think-
top 5 most outlandish ideas so far.
One of my favorites, I don't know if this maybe wasn't the most outlandish, but I do still think it was the funniest, was we did a couple Halloween shows last year, and I learned the entire Freebird solo on guitar, and we like rehearsed it enough that we never really planned exactly when it was going to happen, but at some point in the improv, Neil would start playing the bass line to Freebird, and Asher would launch into the drum beat, and then I like left the stage and then came back with a different guitar and just did the entire Freebird solo, and Neil had like a bubble gun and was like
Oh
spraying
my
audience
God.
members in the face with the bubble gun. And it was great because like Freebird solo is so long that it sort of like starts off, I think, really funny. Like, oh, are they just doing Freebird now? And then it goes on a little too long. Like, okay, we're just doing that. Then it kind of comes back around. 'Cause
How
the
long
solo
is it?
4 minutes long. It's such a long solo, and it never changes texture. It's just the same like ripping shit, and it really does like it comes back around. You're like, oh no, this is fucking amazing. Like it's such a good solo. And I don't know if we really pulled it off, but I think it was pretty fun.
Oh, we pulled it off.
And as an audience member too, like I think it's quoted so much, like people will do it as a bit. And
Play Freebird.
But no one ever plays just the whole solo.
They'll play like the first 10 seconds, like they'll learn the first 10 seconds. So there's this element as an audience member, like, ha ha. And then they're like, oh shit, like they're really gonna play this whole thing.
Yeah.
And also, if it's not clear from the snippets of video that got shared around online, like for all our shows where Neil is in like Lakers basketball shorts and Asher and I are both in like kind of like ripped up jean shorts, and we're all shirtless and have the masks on. So in like small like little DIY spaces.
All right, hold on. What is this mask? Let's talk about this mask.
Yeah.
All right, because I did see that there's some R.L. Stein-esque work that maybe influenced this, right? Like there was some old school R.L. Stein type books that had this type of monster on it, if I recall.
First of all, shout out RL. Big influence to all of us here on Chug Life. But no, for real, what happened was
Sponsor us. Sponsor us.
What happened was a real shout out to Darius Jones, because he was a professor of ours at New School, and he actually put us together in a trio for an assignment, and that's how we kind of started playing together. And he booked a gig, and I remember coming from like a stand-up performance background. I was like, man, I just don't want to be me for a gig. Like, I just don't want to have the weight of like, if I say something crazy or stupid, like it falls onto me. And so I was just like, well, what if I wore a mask? And then I just Amazon searched like monster mask.
Well, do you remember why you picked the one you did?
No, but basically it's a Creature of the Black Lagoon mask.
Oh.
Nick is going to tell you why I picked that one specifically, which I don't remember.
Yeah, because our first gig was at this now no longer existing little like DIY house venue space in Bushwick called the Terrarium.
Oh.
And Neil, so shout out to the Terrarium. That doesn't exist anymore. I miss it. But yeah, you thought it would be funny to get like a reptile mask because that was the name of the spot. So for our first show, I don't even think you really had the microphone or were like speaking. I think we were just like
we played it straight, like because we had charts.
Yeah, we were like an instrumental jazz band for a
Damn.
second, but you just had a lizard mask.
No, because there's clips of you being like, "Oh, I'm at the terrarium," like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of the shtick.
Yeah.
There was a tiny bit of shtick, but it's sort of, I think.
Didn't have masks for the first. Like,
No,
two
it was
gigs.
just you.
Yeah. And it kind of was like, well, what if we just made this like the
whole
mythos of the group, and then we could like create kind of fake lore and like characters and bits, and it would just feel dystopic and weird, and so then we all got masks, and yeah, we have to buy new ones because they're like molded and gross.
Oh
now.
my god, I bet all the sweaty fucking frogs and the beer and the fucking throw up and oh my god, the Waffle House that you're fucking throwing down there. I mean, god damn.
At the last show, we pulled an audience member up, and I don't know if you or your listeners are familiar with Buzz Balls, my favorite gas station beverage. It's like a tiny little ball can of like probably neon malt liquor. And we pulled an audience member on stage and sort of brought him to his knees and like force fed him a Buzz Ball. He's a good friend, so it was cool. But
Consensually.
A lot of my mask smells like Buzz.
I'm glad you made that clear, guys.
Last time I put it on, I almost vomited from just the stench of month-old Buzzball chillers.
I have one more. I know we didn't do a top 5 crazy moments, but I have one more that like really.
I have one
sticks out to
too.
me.
Oh yeah.
Is I wear this bondage harness to most of the gigs, and one of our gigs we played was at this like like art studio, and so we had to enter basically the green room. We had to walk across the entire stage there, and there was just this chain backstage. Nick was like, "What if I just put this to your bondage harness, and instead of walking out, I walked you out like a dog?"
Oh my
To the stage.
god.
No one knew who we really were, so I think Neil went up on the stage alone and started proselytizing about the Emmys or something, because it was the next day. So he started introducing like, "It's a beautiful night here at the Academy Awards," and Nick just walks me out like a fucking dog through the audience without saying anything. Like, there's no lights. We're just getting walked out to the stage, and I think maybe 2 of the people there were like there to see us.
Oh
And the
my
other people had no
God.
idea what was happening. So that's like, that sticks out to me as a thing that's kind of crazy, and also something that like, it's weird because it's like, I would never in a million years do that if I didn't have that mask on.
Right.
Like, I'm like, I would never do that.
The
Like, I'm
mask
not
is-
brave enough. The mask gives me
It's
bravery.
brave, yeah.
Oh my god.
And real quick, we do this like feeding time bit in our sets, and one time we had like a can of beans that was like refried beans, and so they were like fried in corones or something like that,
Oh my god.
like pork fat, and the person that came on stage was like very adamant on coming on stage to get fed, but then it turned out she was a vegan.
No.
So we have video of her just like gagging the second the beans get into her mouth, but she was a great sport about it.
God.
All in all.
Apologies were issued, you know.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious, dude. Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is peak porcelain vivisection, huh?
Indeed. And how?
So I gotta know, guys. Porcelain vivisection. Where does this name come from?
So I have just a notes app on my phone that's just like words and non sequiturs that I think would maybe one day be funny song titles or bands. And I think so. Lobotomy Bliss is one of those.
Yeah.
And then I just showed, they were like, okay, well, what are we gonna call this band? And I just sent a screenshot of this like very disturbing, just like weird song and just like random thoughts to the group chat. And I think one of them was like,
One of them was
Porcelain
teenage.
Daydreams, and the other one was Fortnite Teen Vivisection. I don't know what any of those things mean, but I think Nick was like, well, what about like Porcelain Vivisection? Like, I like these two, but I think both of them as a song name are like gonna work. And so it was like, cool. And then so we picked it, and then we realized it sort of also sounds like a toilet joke, which was not the like was not the idea, because like a vivisection is like an exploratory surgery. I think of porcelain, I think of the toilet. But it really means nothing. It's just 2 words that sound weird and kind of violent and look really funny in like a metal font.
All right, everybody that isn't aware, like I was, porcelain is what toilets are made of. So that's where this is coming from. So that's really interesting. You guys answered that without me posing the question. So there is no affinity for toilets. Just got to make sure of that.
I'm very grateful.
I love a toilet.
Yeah, I'm grateful for their existence. Shout out bidets. Toilet.
Bro, have you guys ever considered how dog shit the world would be without toilets? This is sponsored by Big Toilets.
I go camping a lot, and I definitely appreciate the toilet. Yeah, they've really changed the world for the better, I think.
Oh man, seriously, dude.
Camp. What's it called when you camp and you like leave it or whatever?
You digging a hole?
Yeah.
It's called digging a hole.
Yeah, that's not cool, man.
Oh god, it's like shitting like a bear. Just leaving it there, bro.
Prowl around with you, it's great.
You know, we should do like a camp themed album for like our next thing.
Oh,
like, in
God.
the woods or something.
Dude, that's
you know?
actually genius. Yeah, that's
when we go to Michigan and we do that barn.
like you have to, and you have to record a live set at the mouth of a lake, and like somebody has to be like waiting in the lake or like fishing or some shit. Like,
drops it out of the lake.
dude, no, put a riser. All right, fucking, you're gonna have to pay me for this, but I'll, maybe whatever. So riser in the fucking lake. All right, boom, riser, and then you get other risers like a fucking T, and you got a walkway.
Oh yes,
Dude, live set on the lake.
Killer, actually.
Oh my god.
doing a show in like a national park and like four hikers come in, like just like through hiking the Appalachian Trail, just stumble upon us, like busking to a moose in fucking Maine or something.
It's just, oh god, dude. Oh man, that is the greatest fucking mental I never knew I needed. It's
Wrap up from Bedford L.
Yeah.
So
That
guys,
was-
so I can get this a little bit back on track real quick from our planning session in the lake. So Neil, you do stand-up comedy, and you are also from Bengal, right?
No, not
Or-
originally. My parents are from the state of Bengal in India.
So
but,
okay, so that is India. Cool. I wasn't sure if Bengal was a free state or something like that. Last I remember, I was just
I mean, the state got split by the British in '71. You know, so Bangladesh and Bengal, it's all the same like ethnic group, but it's split by a border.
such
That's,
interesting history, dude. Because I was watching your stand-up set where you were talking about your father, and I was like, oh shit, that's really fucking cool. I realized that Bengal is like has some very troubled history with like the colonialist times with Britain, and I was so confused because I couldn't really put my finger on it, like what it was. So that's why I wanted to ask you, because that's really interesting stuff, just how fucked up that part of the world was because of colonialism, and just the effects of it,
and that's definitely reverberating today in every aspect and in other places around the world. I would check out The Blood Telegram. It's a really good book that kind of goes through the geopolitics of that time, because it is really kind of funded by the Nixon administration, what happened. So that's akin to what is happening now in Gaza as well. So I think that's I don't know how we took this turn, but
TV knows shit.
Yeah,
We know shit.
Yeah, we're on it.
I mean, guys, we have here a group of very smart musicians that have a lot of knowledge about world events, and that's what we're here. That's part of one of the reasons that we're here to talk about. This is what makes this place special, is so you guys can be who you guys are and show the people who you guys are. I believe that that's one of the best ways for people to get information, and also for people to see who they follow, and to really understand people more on a base level, that we can be incredibly diverse people and care about incredibly diverse things. And at the end of the day, we're all the same, trying to do the same thing. And so, yeah, it's a fantastic start of a conversation, that really the biggest and most fucked up things that came out from everything post-World War II was brought on by the, perceived war between the USSR and the US, and the perceived to be war. And it never happened, of course. Nothing ever materialized aside from the USSR getting its teeth kicked in Afghanistan and a bunch of other places. And as a result of all of that, ladies and gentlemen, the rest of the world got more fucked up, because we continued to feel like our grip on communism and our grip on fascism was failing. And rightfully so. We let a bunch of fascists into positions of power. We gave them all a bunch of green cards and a bunch of visas and everything they could want. And that was that. And then we started just focusing on killing a bunch of communists and doing whatever we could, even putting fascists and dictators into power, just to try and absolve whatever we thought the communists would do. That didn't do shit. It killed millions upon millions of people. And so I'm very, very curious, Neil, if you're very interested in going into this conversation with me. How does that affect Gaza? I think that would be great for the folks to know and for myself to be apprised.
How does what affect Gaza exactly? Just like
Like,
imperialism?
yeah, just like Nixon. And I mean, of course, Israelis are fucked up as all hell. Military's all fucked up as all hell. The people are enduring the largest fucking worst probably famine and massacre type events known to mankind, all because of some elites. So imperialism as a whole really does, sure, it has an effect on Israelis, but Gaza specifically, I think it's such a complex topic because you have Iran, you got Syria trying to get involved, you got Lebanon, you got the Arab states, you got, of course, the Western states all trying to get involved, and then you've got Hamas being fed by Iran, being fed by Russia, being fed by everybody that wants to offload some guns, and it just hurts the everyday people, and it kills a bunch of people. So, I mean, yeah, that was kind of self-answered question. I don't really know what I was doing there.
I think you hit it right on the nose. Right on the nose, Mike. Yeah, it's
Welcome to my TED Talk.
I was like, yeah, we dipped into a Dan Carlin vibe there for a second.
I mean, dude, I'm a big fan. So that's great that you brought him up. But man, it's just sometimes I get started on shit and it's difficult to get off it.
Yeah, I will say, like, it's good to have these conversations, and I'm glad you're using your platform for said conversations. And I think, like, it might be more. Well, I think we all are in agreement in this band that, like, what is happening is an awful kind of ethnic cleansing and genocide of the people that doesn't need to happen, but is happening. But I do think for the purposes of our kind of conversation here, it might be good to kind of keep more towards our projects, because those, I think, like,
absolutely,
the ethos of the group, like, is like a seriousness to which you can approach, like, our musical expression and this type of thing. Like, we did come from jazz backgrounds, and I think, like, something kind of feral and visceral about the way that we play in this group that I do think is kind of akin to, like, how there's like a feeling of almost like helplessness to some of these issues, and it's like, well, this group is a bit sonically like screaming into a void of chaos. So, like, I think that's about as close as a metaphor I can draw between what you're talking about and what this group does.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we'll come to rehearsals. And, like, someone will have something going on, and we'll just play, and it's sort of just like at the end of the 30 minutes, we're all just like,
yeah,
I feel better. Like, it isn't a replacement for any, like, real work, but it is, like, a very therapeutic outlet. And it's interesting how it affects us too, because, like, I think for the first few gigs, Neil was, like, always going dark. Like, we were, like, our bit ideas were always dark.
Yeah.
And then Neil talked to me one time, we were at the gym or something, and he was like, man, like, this is, like, affecting me, like, always going dark. Like, I think I want to try some, like, hopeful stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of the thing that's, like, tying back earlier about the trust, where I was just like, yeah, man, like, do that. Like, if you want to do, like, a motivational, like, you got this thing, like, it's kind of funny, but, like, you want to do a motivational thing, like, that's also funny. Like, it's all, it all bleeds in. I mean, I wasn't expecting, like, a geopolitics conversation per se, so I'm a little under-prepared for that.
Oh, no worries, man. Yeah, nobody ever comes onto this podcast prepared to talk geopolitics, but yeah, it was just a fun little side thing here. But now that we are back on topic of showing whole, what went into planning this set? You guys did a live set, and is that how you guys got this song, or did this song come and then the live set happened?
So, sorry, I just want to shout out real quick, really important, Garrett and Marshall at the Watermelon Room and Veth Productions. they're just sort of starting up this live music thing. I want to be really clear that like none of this could have happened without them. It's really important to shout them out. They really hooked us up.
Hell
they were
yeah.
like, we want to do this for you. Like, we're trying to get our business off the ground. Marshall, who is in consumer culture, that's like sort of his band. Great punk band, Baltimore based. They, he sort of reached out and was like, hey, like, we're doing this. Your band's really different. We're doing like normally just live sets, but we want to do this whole like multimedia thing. And I think we got like 30, 40 minutes of stuff. And he was really like patient with the editing and like, like we want a tight 10-minute thing. We want to really edit it, get some jokes in. Because this band does translate so well visually and he was really helpful with that.
Yeah, and I think like had a vision coming into it, and I think like a lot of DIY stuff is like, yeah, dude, we just got some recording equipment, we got some cameras, and like just pull up, and then you show up and they're like figuring out how to use the cameras. Like Marshall and Garrett at Watermelon Room were so professional, and so like we have this really strong idea, like how do we collaborate and like make this into a thing, and I sincerely appreciate them like letting us do that, because we went in to Baltimore the night before at like 2 or 3 a.m. and stayed at Asher's parents' house, got like 4 hours of sleep, and then went and shot. We shot Showing Hole at like 9:30 or 10 in the morning, which is like a very weird time to bring that energy.
Wow.
But yeah, we kind of ripped it, to be honest. Like that was probably the most concise version of that, because it was probably like 5 of our kind of like disparate ideas that we've done at gigs just like mashed into one thing. So yeah, that's kind of how that all went down. It was like like a very nice morning in Baltimore.
That is incredible. That is just it's such a wild image to put into my brain to be doing that early in the morning.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't picture it by looking at the video. You would think it's dark as hell. It's nighttime, definitely. This is like the end of the gig type vibes, Not the start of the gig. Not the fucking morning. That's wild. Before everybody had even woken up, these guys were out here showing hole at the Waffle House.
Yeah, just showing hole.
And
Dude.
again, just like Marshall and Garrett, it's like, they're also part of the like say yes and trust part of that team for that video, because like Marshall and some of the stuff on there was like Marshall's idea. Like he was like, I don't want to do any steady cam. I want to be walking around the room, like. Because when we were like
GoPros, that's the best part of the video.
It's all
that's
GoPros.
The whole thing.
And because when I messaged Marshall, like, and this is like a crazy thing to tell someone. It's like I know him and there's trust, but he's like, I want to make a video. I'm trying to get this media company off the ground. I'm like, great. We want to make a music video. We want it to look like a snuff film. And he's like, okay, cool. Yeah, like let's do that. Let's do that really crazy sort of thing.
Fuck it.
But yeah, so. Shout out to him. I mean, it really like it's how like when you ask how it came together, like it was a lot of what we've been working on, and combined with the energy of Garrett and Marshall, who are also just like making media, but are also artists and musicians in their own right. And consumer culture also like presents stuff with a lot of crowd work and like sense of humor. So Marshall, like it's not a new thing to him, Like he was like, yeah, like. I like this idea of like participatory performance art elements of music that is like otherwise serious.
You can definitely get a lot of those serious vibes, but also with the comedic sections that just makes it all just so good. Like there's truly nothing like it that I've seen. And I mean, sure, you have like grind and stuff that can be pretty funny, and there's some slam bands that tend to try to do some funny excerpts and stuff like that, or samples, but I don't know. A full-on skit is not something I think I've ever seen. So that's everybody go check it out. Enjoy yourselves. And we're going to talk about Tea Time. I am having a really good time with this album artwork here. So is there who wants to go through this album artwork? Give a visual to the people.
This is all Nick.
You're talking about Tea Time Legacy?
Yeah.
Our second
full length
album.
Yes, sir.
The album artwork is ChatGPT. And because I
canceled.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I generally that GPT and AI in general is probably gonna become remembered and known as one of the worst things that we ever did.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a pretty bad idea, and like ethically indefensible on every level. But I think for the energy of this band, making art on the platform that I think is the worst is it feels like it fits the ethos of this band. It started we were trying to just make as weird Instagram posts as possible. And I started trying to like in to ChatGPT like description, like increasingly like horrifying descriptions of this band, and just like nightmare images that were in my head, and then it started like spitting out just like the most deranged, like fucked up things that I've ever seen. And you know, when you're inputting into a chat in ChatGPT, if it's in the same chat, it will remember everything else in the entire chat. So like you can kind of build up stuff. So after like months of writing in like full like essays of like, you know, the lizard man is like waiting in your doorway after you've come home from a 14-hour shift in the coal mine. You haven't seen your children in months. Your wife left you for your best friend a year ago. You know no peace, and yet the lizard man waits, and he looks into your eyes and sees the blackness of your inhuman soul. I was like writing shit like that, just like torturing this machine. And after months of that, I was just like, show me the lizard man at a cocktail bar in Paris drinking an espresso.
Oh my god.
So that's what that is.
Wellbutrin, if you're listening, we desperately need a song.
Shout out Lithium.
And then Tea Time itself is this bit that we do during our shows. That's like an interactive crowd bit. Which is really fun, and I don't want to even give it away in case anybody.
No, definitely not. I did want to talk about really quickly something that caught my attention. This is what I would picture Archduke Franz Ferdinand doing. Like I don't know why, but I'm just like. I just get Archduke Franz Ferdinand, like the shooting vibes, like just like the car coming down the road and then the shooter's just there at tea and it's your mask. I'm like, this is like all you need is his carriage in the background.
At the next show.
Yeah.
This maybe this is like, you know how like what they say that like when you die, your like final moments, your brain releases the DMT. And you frequently have a sort of like psychedelic experience of the final moment of death.
Oh,
maybe
God.
this band and our shows are the sort of like DMT trip that the Archduke had as like the bullet was entering his brain, and this was like how he departed the world.
We actually caused World War One. It's a bit time paradox, little known fact.
Yeah.
Explore it more on the next album.
Our bad.
Yeah, sorry.
Apologies to the Austro-Hungarian Empire and also Serbia.
Which I guess makes World War II also kind of our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Man, it spiraled into a lot.
Yeah.
Porcelain Vivisection may or may not be responsible for millions of deaths across the globe.
Look, all press is good press.
So is this this phrase, "Hey, hi, sweeties, it's time for tea"? Is there something I'm missing here? Is that part of the skit as well?
That's part of the skit. Yeah, it's just like I think I looped it once during the thing, and it's just kind of like the main.
Oh my god, that sounds freaky as hell.
The only part of our set that is consistent it happens every gig. It is the only thing.
That's true.
That is true.
Nothing
Wow.
else. Everything else is modular and variable depending on how we're feeling. But tea time exists, and it partially exists to give us a 2 to 3 minute break where we don't have to be playing really hard because it is exhausting. And because we don't stop necessarily between songs, like we don't even have song breaks. It's just like go for 20 to 40 minutes. Tea time is like actually kind of serves dual purpose of like we need to stop playing for a second as well and like give our hands and like our lungs a break.
Yeah, because the fun thing about those masks is that you can't really see or breathe very well.
You really can't
So
see.
that
What?
definitely kind of informs the energy of the music, is that we're sort of like blind and choking on our own sweat.
Had to cut a big hole for my mouthpiece in the mouth.
Oh my god. I have I have no response to this. Just you choking on your own sweat, not being able to see. Does the mask move? Is it going with you, or does it sit still?
Mine jostles a lot. Like I have to pull it down constantly to like. Sometimes I'll look through the mouth hole too. Like it goes everywhere during a gig for me. I don't know about these guys.
100%.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Sometimes it like rotates around my head, and then I'm just like fully blind.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no! That sounds
it's
horrible. I'm just instead of like maybe a little bit of sight, you're just pitch black, completely blind.
Yeah, locked out.
And I wear glasses too, so I have two choices, which is take my glasses off and definitely not see, or keep my glasses on and maybe see some shapes through a thick fog of condensation. So like I'm like sort of a double blind situation.
I like that you keep the glasses on though, because when they fog up, sometimes like the
It looks
stage lights
scary.
like catch it, and then you just have like, instead of seeing eyes through the mask holes, you just
Just
have these
red.
like white. No, it's just pure white. It's
Wow.
freaking
I think it's important to point out that these are not like Slipknot, like well-made masks. Like, we have like a costume manager. These are like Party City rubber.
Literally.
Like my mask, we have to buy new ones because my mask is literally melting to itself and dissolving.
Yeah, you gotta take care of it. I guess with more cheaper stuff like that, maybe like fucking put them in a cool room with ice, like just fucking in a glass encasement or some shit.
This band runs on microplastics at this point.
These microplastics from the fucking melted shit, him sweating. Oh god, that does not sound like it would taste good.
It doesn't. That is accurate.
Very true.
Good God. Guys, it has been a lovely time chatting with you guys and getting to learn about Porcelain Vivisection. As we wrap it up, do you guys have anything that you guys want to bring up?
We're currently booking shows for the fall and the winter. We're looking at doing some out of town stuff in like November and December. So if anyone lives in like the North Texas or Michigan areas, hit us up. And otherwise, stream our 3 albums.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I have one more thing I'd like to say real quick.
What would you like to say?
Just like sincere thank you to all the people who like, we had this one video that kind of went viral. It's been seen like 1,000 times and 200,000 times on other platforms, and like the response of like most people is like really positive, and I've never had anything that sort of like has been seen by this many people. So just like sincere thanks to anyone who saw this and like thought it was funny or like shared it with their friends or like fucked with it in any way. Like it is like really joyous to see that like this thing that we really think is a lot of fun is like resonating with people. And like, I mean, shout out to the people who also hate it, because like I feel like we're doing something right if like we have people calling us like very foul names, and also people. I think my favorite comment so far was like, "Porcelain Vivisection is my favorite of whatever the fuck this is." Just shout out to anyone who's enjoyed it. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone.
Also, shout out to Waffle House.
Yeah,
Shout out
thank
to
you,
Waffle
Waffle House.
Have they
We
reached
know
out
you-
for sponsorships yet?
And we know you don't have pancakes. Everyone can stop telling us. We don't write the lyrics beforehand, all right? Neil's doing a lot.
It was going off the dome. It was 9 a.m. We had slept for 4 hours.
So dope, man. No sponsorships yet, but Mike, we're hoping Big Chug Life could jump on as a angel investor.
Oh, dude, we'll have to get the enterprise set up between you guys and Waffle House, man. Have to do some live setup. We'll figure it out, man. My people will get in touch with your people. All right.
Not above taking money from big oil. Reach out if you got a bad.
We love the military-industrial complex.
We'll be doing songs like pro Raytheon songs.
Oh, yeah.
We'll sell out so quick, it's unbelievable.
Listen.
Well, thank you as well for having
Yeah,
us. We
Mike,
really
seriously appreciate it, man.
It is my pleasure, you guys. I'm very happy that I got to meet you guys, and I'm hoping in the future we will get to talking about the things that you will be up to. Meanwhile, though, what do you guys have coming up? What are you up to? What are you cooking right now?
We really are trying to plan this tour for early November, like in the fall. As far as gigs go in Brooklyn, we're all kind of randomly out of town for the next like month and a half. So
Nice.
unfortunately, nothing other than just kind of getting together and playing. I think we're going to start attempting to live stream our endurance runs. And just, if it's going to be kind of random. So if you can catch us on one of our socials doing that, that'd be sick. But yeah, otherwise just kind of chop up more video and post more shit.
If we can run up TikTok to 1,000 people, we can live stream on there.
Yeah.
And we're at PVBand666 on Instagram and TikTok. So if anyone wants to follow us, help us get to that 1,000. I can promise if we can live stream on TikTok,
Yeah, we will.
it's gonna be
That's
crazy.
going to be a party.
I did a Thanksgiving live stream mukbang last year in costume, and unfortunately, it was only able to go on Instagram.
I bet.
Yeah. If you want to see our drummer eat an entire turkey by himself, follow us.
Where do I find that? Just for science.
Instagram, I think it's saved to Instagram. Like the whole 20-minute video is on there.
It sure is.
If it tickles your fancy.
And is it likely that they'll find you showing your hole there as well?
No showing hole on
A-hole?
Thanksgiving. Oh yeah, my mouth hole.
Aw.
Making lots of grunting, and it's really
It's very
messy.
slimy. Yeah.
I was so sticky and disgusting afterwards.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been our conversation with Neil Gosh, Nick Saya, and Asher Herzog from Porcelain Vivisection from Brooklyn, New York. Go and check them out. Make sure you go and listen to Lobotomy Bliss, Tea Time Legacy as well. And go and check out their live streams, follow them on their socials, and say hi. And maybe tell them to show you their hole. I don't know. They might. You guys have a good one. Stay safe out there.
You too, man. Thank you so much.